She was a nobody living in her car, scraping tips, planning to disappear into the world with her math degree, until a dead billionaire left her his fortune. Now she's the center of a deadly game, in a house full of puzzles, secrets, and people who want her gone. Avery Grambs was a girl who lived by logic, by statistics, and by survival. High school junior by day, waitress by night, chess hustler in the park on mornings. Her life was simple and calculated. Win games, keep her grades just high enough, and save every dollar to escape her dead-end life. That life took place mostly in her car, especially since her sister Libby's on-again off-again boyfriend, Drake, was back on. Avery never had a real home. Her mother, full of secrets and games, had passed away. Her father was a drunk and long gone. So, Avery had plans: ace school, earn scholarships, become an actuary, and travel the world. That plan came crashing down the moment she was called to the principal's office and met Grayson Hawthorne, the boy in a tailored suit who seemed too powerful for any teenager. He came with a message. Avery had been named in the will of one Tobias Hawthorne, billionaire, philanthropist, dead. Grayson knew things like where Avery's estranged father currently was, and he spoke like someone used to giving orders. And now he was summoning Avery to the reading of a will that, according to Grayson, had postponed its reading for weeks because of her. Avery didn't know Tobias Hawthorne. She had never heard his name, and yet, he left her something. Grayson wasn't just persuasive, he was a force. And despite Avery's disbelief, Libby's sweet, ever-hopeful Libby was already packing. She'd seen the letters from the Hawthorne estate and assumed they were scams. But Grayson was not a scam. When Avery Googled Tobias Hawthorne, her disbelief turned to shock. This man wasn't just wealthy, he was filthy rich. Oil, real estate, venture capital, $46.2 billion net worth. The richest man in Texas, the 9th richest in the United States, and he'd left something to Avery Grambs, maybe a scholarship, maybe a token. Still, Grayson had already arranged everything: first-class plane tickets to Texas, lodging at Hawthorne House, a mansion so massive it had a name. The reading of the will was happening now, and Avery had no choice but to play along. Upon arriving in Texas, Avery and Libby were swept away by Elisa Ortega, a sharp-suited attorney from the Hawthorne family's law firm. Elisa made it clear that Avery was not just a visitor, she was a guest of the Hawthorne family, and she would be staying at Hawthorne House, where they would hold the will reading. Hawthorne House was not a house. It was a kingdom carved into stone and wood, a vast architectural marvel with secret passageways, too many rooms to count, and a lingering air of mystery and wealth. The foyer was the size of an entire house. The ceilings reached the sky. And then there were the people. Grayson Hawthorne, cold, calculating, commanding. The golden boy, the heir apparent, Xander Hawthorne, the youngest, a whirlwind of chaos and comic relief. A self-declared genius and lover of secret tunnels, Nash Hawthorne, the oldest, cowboy boots and motorcycle, with a laid-back charm and wisdom. Jameson Hawthorne, absent for now, but soon to be Avery's greatest puzzle. There were others: Zara, the stern aunt; Sky, the ethereal, over-the-top mother to the boys; and Nan, the ancient matriarch with sharp eyes and a sharper tongue. And they all had one thing in common: none of them knew who Avery was, or why she was in the will. The reading was formal, heavy. Tobias Hawthorne, now deceased, had summoned all heirs, family members, and key employees to the great room. The tension was palpable. The lawyers read aloud. Tobias left each of his daughters a minimal token. His longtime employees received decent sums. His entire billion-dollar estate, Hawthorne House included, was being handed to Avery Grambs. The room exploded. Zara screamed. Sky gasped. The grandsons stared. And Avery? Avery thought there had been a mistake, but the lawyer continued. Avery was now the legal heir to Tobias Hawthorne's fortune. On one condition: she must live in Hawthorne House for 1 full year, with the family, with the enemies, with the puzzles. And if she left, the fortune vanished. The fallout was immediate. The Hawthorne family, once regal and composed, turned venomous. Some were polite, others clearly not. Everyone wanted to know, who the hell is Avery Grambs? And more importantly, why did Tobias Hawthorne give her everything? Grayson confronted her, cold, calculating, accusing. Nash offered something softer. You need to keep your head down, girl. Xander was delighted. This is going to be fun. But one name hovered in Avery's mind: Jameson. She hadn't met him yet, but the air in the house was thick with the anticipation of his reaction. He was the one everyone seemed to be waiting for. Meanwhile, Avery was being handed over a new life, a mansion, a private driver, a new room, money beyond comprehension. But she hadn't earned it. She hadn't asked for it, and now she had a target on her back. Jameson Hawthorne entered the scene like a hurricane in a tuxedo, tall, lean, eyes that saw through everything. He looked at Avery not with confusion or contempt but with excitement. "You're the old man's last puzzle," he said. Avery had no idea what that meant, but Jameson did. Tobias Hawthorne was famous for games, riddles, and challenges. He trained his grandsons to play. Their childhoods were forged in mystery, scavenger hunts, and impossible puzzles. Now Tobias had left them the biggest mystery of all. Why Avery? Jameson didn't want revenge. He wanted to play. He believed Tobias was speaking to them from beyond the grave and that the inheritance was part of a game only they could solve, if they were smart enough. And Avery? She was the key dot in her new wing of the mansion. Yes, wing. Avery began finding clues. Tobias Hawthorne's final letter to her was cryptic. Inside a hidden drawer, she found a photo of herself. Not recent, this was years ago. He knew her, he chose her, and suddenly the question wasn't just why Avery was in the will. It was, how long has she been part of this game? Jameson was obsessed. Grayson was suspicious. Xander was giddy. And Avery? She was surrounded by danger. Not just the kind that comes with money, the kind that comes with enemies who used to be family. Avery had inherited billions, but not peace, not safety, not understanding. As she adjusted to life in Hawthorne House, one thing became clear. The four Hawthorne grandsons had grown up inside a labyrinth of games, expectations, and tests. Their grandfather had molded them into weapons and strategists. Nash was the calm, detached protector. He saw everything, said little. Grayson was the leader, the golden boy, raised to inherit the empire. Jameson was chaos incarnate, the thrill seeker. Xander was the wild card, the inventor, the baby. Each boy had grown up believing Tobias would leave the estate to one of them. Instead, he left it to a girl none of them had ever met. Or so they thought. Tensions ran high. And yet, Jameson's spark didn't dim. He didn't want the money back. He wanted to understand, to uncover what Tobias was really trying to say. He believed the inheritance wasn't the end. It was the first clue. Avery received a letter. So did each of the Hawthorne grandsons. Avery's letter read, "Keep your enemies close," cryptic. Tobias's favorite kind of message. Grayson and Jameson quickly realized that all four boys had received letters each containing one sentence, tailored to them. Together, they discovered a pattern. Tobias had crafted a final riddle, designed for all of them but requiring Avery's involvement. Jameson convinced Avery to play along. He took her to the mansion's vast library and began digging through old notebooks, family archives, and puzzles. He was charming, fast-talking, reckless. She found herself pulled into his orbit, drawn in by the thrill, but there were warnings everywhere. Grayson's tone was colder than ever. He told Avery to stop playing, to leave the puzzle alone, that Jameson was dangerous, and Jameson, he never denied it. Not everyone at Hawthorne House welcomed Avery's presence. Zara, the oldest daughter, wanted Avery out. Sky, the boy's mother, smiled too sweetly. And Drake, the abusive ex-boyfriend of Libby, found out where she was and showed up at the estate, demanding to see Libby. Avery was shaken. She realized she wasn't just dealing with puzzles. She was in danger from the outside and inside. The media had caught on to her inheritance. The world was watching. Every move she made, every person she saw, was scrutinized, and there were whispers of death threats. Libby wanted to leave. She was terrified, but Avery was stuck. Legally tied to Hawthorne House for 1 year or the fortune disappeared. That's when she found the first true puzzle. Xander, ever the chaotic genius, showed Avery a secret passage. There were dozens in Hawthorne House. Hidden doors, rotating walls, panel locks, false closets, and inside one of them, Avery and Jameson found a hidden room. Within it, a book of poems, pages marked, verses altered. Tobias had left behind a trail, starting with Shakespeare and ending with a nursery rhyme. Each reference pointed to something, each verse hid a name. Eventually, they uncovered a list, 4 girls' names, including Avery's. Who were the others? Why was she listed with them? Jameson's excitement was palpable. They were in the game now, deep And the clock was ticking. The names belonged to Emily Lachlan and 3 others. Emily was the one that made Jameson stop cold. Emily Lachlan was dead. She had dated both Jameson and Grayson at different times. A golden girl, charismatic, loved by everyone. And then, one night at a party, she collapsed. Died. The details were fuzzy, the cause unclear, but one thing was certain. Her death had ripped the Hawthorne boys apart, especially Jameson. When Avery pushed for more answers, Jameson dodged. But Grayson? Grayson warned her again. Emily had left a hole in the family that Tobias never filled. Now, Avery was walking into that same space. A replacement? A trigger? Or a key? As days passed, Avery began playing her own game. She knew she was a pawn or maybe a queen, if she played her cards right. So she began investigating. She looked up old news articles about Emily. She explored more of the mansion's tunnels and rooms. She started mapping the hidden architecture of Hawthorne House. Xander helped. Jameson flirted and challenged. Grayson watched her like a hawk. Each boy knew the rules of the game. Each wanted something different. But Avery? She wanted the truth. Piece by piece, Avery followed the trail left by Tobias. A coded message in a chessboard. A letter folded into a puzzle box. A string of coordinates carved into the wood under a desk. Every clue hinted at a bigger mystery. And the more she uncovered, the more she realized. This wasn't just a treasure hunt. It was a test. Tobias Hawthorne had built a life training his grandsons to think like him. He had made them compete for everything. Love, approval, legacy, and now he was doing it again from beyond the grave. Only this time, he had thrown Avery into the ring and made her the final prize. Just when things couldn't get more tangled, someone tried to kill her. Avery's bathroom was booby-trapped. Poisoned shampoo. It would have caused a chemical reaction, burns or worse. Someone had deliberately tampered with it. She reported it immediately. Security was tightened. Elisa was horrified. But Jameson? He grinned. Welcome to being a Hawthorne, he said, because now Avery wasn't just a girl with an inheritance. She was a target. In the middle of the chaos, Max, Avery's best friend, finally reached out. Through texts and codes, they communicated. Max was the only person outside the mansion who really knew Avery. And through Max, Avery remembered who she was. Not just a girl caught in a game, but someone who had already survived worse. Poverty, loneliness, abuse. She wasn't afraid of secrets. She was afraid of betrayal. And slowly, she began to realize everyone in Hawthorne House had something to hide. Everyone. The clues were coming faster now, and so was Jameson. He was manic, fueled by the game, a fire burning behind his eyes. He pulled Avery deeper and deeper into the Hawthorne legacy, convinced that everything Tobias left behind was part of a larger puzzle. Every hallway, every riddle, every name etched in a wall, it all mattered. Avery wasn't sure where the puzzle ended and Jameson began, but she couldn't deny it. She liked the way he looked at her. Like she was part of something bigger. Like she belonged. Then again, maybe that was dangerous too. Avery discovered a mysterious black door in one of the secret passageways. Locked, hidden, no markings. Even Xander didn't know what was behind it, but Jameson did. He recognized the symbol carved faintly into the doorframe, a cipher Tobias had used in his will. Whatever was behind that door, it was important, and Tobias didn't want it found easily. Avery and Jameson worked through coded puzzles to find a series of keys, both literal and metaphorical. Math puzzles, old correspondences, books arranged in precise orders, but the final clue required something neither of them expected. Blood. Remember the list of names? Avery tracked them down. One by one, they were girls who had somehow crossed paths with the Hawthorne family in the past. But one name stood out, Emily Lachlan. She was the center of it all. Eventually, Avery cornered Jameson. She demanded to know what happened with Emily. And this time he answered. Emily had been sick, fragile, beautiful, and dangerous. She played the Hawthorne brothers against each other, dating Grayson, then sneaking off to be with Jameson. She liked the tension, the rivalry, the way they vied for her attention. She collapsed at a party, died, and Jameson was the one who found her. He was never the same after that. Grayson blamed him, Jameson blamed himself, and Tobias? He never spoke of it again, until now, until Avery, Grayson, confronted Avery. His calm demeanor cracked. You don't know what you're doing, he said. You're playing a dead man's game, and you think you're a player but you're the prize. He wasn't wrong. But Avery didn't back down. She threw it right back. Then why are you still playing? The tension between them crackled, and for the first time, Avery saw something raw in Grayson: regret, guilt, something he was hiding. Maybe he wasn't just the golden boy, maybe he was just another broken Hawthorne, pretending to be whole. Everything exploded one night during a storm. Avery was walking the grounds when she heard a gunshot. Someone had fired a shot at her. It missed, barely. Security went into lockdown. Police were called. Who had access to a weapon? Who had motive? It could have been a furious Hawthorne family member, a desperate outsider looking for revenge, or someone closer than she thought. One thing was clear: someone wanted her gone. Elisa pulled Avery aside. The firm was worried. She was in danger. Multiple attacks, media swarming, conspiracy theories online, headlines about the girl who stole the Hawthorne fortune. Avery had to consider legal action or stepping away. But if she left Hawthorne House, the money disappeared. So she stayed and dug deeper and uncovered a contract Tobias Hawthorne had signed years ago. It was a guardianship agreement for her, Avery Grambs, signed when she was a child. The truth cracked open like lightning. Tobias Hawthorne had known her, not by chance, not as some random girl he picked out of nowhere. Years ago, Avery's mother worked as a waitress at a small diner. Tobias came in regularly. He watched Avery play chess. He saw her brilliance, her calculations, her fire. He tested her, left her puzzles on napkins. She solved them, and then he disappeared. She never even knew it was him. And now, years later, he had left her everything. Why? Why not his grandsons? Why her? With Jameson's help, Avery finally opened the black door. Inside was a room, Tobias's true sanctuary. His final riddle, his endgame. Inside were photos, notes, plans, and a letter. To Avery, you see the world differently. That is your gift. That is your curse. That is your inheritance. Not the money, not the house, the game. Jameson kissed her. Not because of the game, not because of the inheritance, because, for once, he wasn't chasing a ghost. Not Emily, not his grandfather's approval, but Avery. And she kissed him back. But even in that moment, Avery knew, this isn't over. Avery's world was no longer uncertain. It was terrifying. She had a target on her back. She was a mystery inside, a game inside a trap. And Tobias Hawthorne? He wasn't just a billionaire. He was a master manipulator. Every move he made had 10 layers. Every gift came with strings. Now, deep within Hawthorne House, Avery found the final layer of his will. There was another document, hidden, unfiled, unwitnessed, a second version of the will. One that left the entire fortune not to her, but to Tobias Hawthorne, a name Avery had never heard before. Until she realized Tobias Hawthorne too was Tobias Hawthorne's son, a boy who had been erased from public memory. Avery and Jameson investigated. Who was Tobias Hawthorne too? What had happened to him? Piece by piece, they uncovered the truth. Tobias had a secret child, a firstborn son, but something happened, something so dark, so unforgivable that Tobias disinherited his own heir. He erased him, he buried the past, and that past had come back. Because Avery realized something chilling. Tobias Hawthorne too had changed his name. He'd disappeared into the world. He'd had children. One of them could be Avery's father. The guardianship paperwork, the secret letters, the familiarity Tobias had with Avery's habits, her chess games, her mindset, even her posture. All of it pointed to one conclusion: Avery might not have been a stranger. After all, she might be a Hawthorne. The granddaughter of Tobias Hawthorne's disgraced, vanished son. She might be the only true blood heir. The real twist. Tobias knew it. As this truth unfolded, danger struck again. Someone entered Avery's room at night, a knife pressed to her throat, a warning whispered, "You don't belong here." She fought back, hard. And when she screamed, the house erupted. Security, panic, police. But the attacker was gone, vanished through one of the mansion's countless hidden exits. Avery was left with a slash across her arm, and the growing certainty that someone in this house wanted her dead. The game splintered the brothers. Jameson was in too deep. He saw every clue as destiny. Grayson accused him of dragging Avery into danger again. Xander stayed loyal to Avery, believing she was part of something bigger. Nash retreated, tired of family legacies and blood-soaked puzzles. The brothers, trained from birth to compete, were unraveling. And Avery? She was the epicenter of the storm. Grayson pulled her aside and said, "You make him reckless." He meant Jameson. Then he added, "You make me forget." Forget what? Responsibility? Emily? The pain? Grayson didn't explain. He just walked away. Jameson took Avery up to the rooftop garden, the place where Emily had once laughed, and where secrets always felt closer. He confessed the truth. He didn't know if he loved her, or if she was just the next piece of the puzzle. He couldn't tell the difference. And Avery? She realized. She didn't want to be a riddle to solve. So she stepped away from the game, from the inheritance, from him. But she didn't walk out of Hawthorne House. She made a new choice. Avery called a press conference. She stepped in front of flashing cameras and said, "I am Avery Grambs. I inherited Tobias Hawthorne's fortune. I intend to keep it, and I will not be intimidated." The world watched. The threats quieted. The family fell silent, because Avery wasn't just a girl in the middle of a game anymore. She was a Hawthorne in all but name, and she was playing to win. In the last pages of Tobias's notes, Avery found a small slip of paper, a puzzle she hadn't yet solved, a phrase Tobias wrote in his signature, looping script, "I found you once, little girl. Let's see if you can find me." It wasn't over. There was more to discover, more secrets in the walls, more Hawthorns, more danger, more games.